Awesome.
Thanks, Lisa.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Kara. I appreciate it. First, happy Wednesday, everyone. Halfway through the week. Thank you all for taking some time to join our webinar today. We'll be going over some digital inclusion resources and getting a better understanding about what is out there and how we can help those who need it. So kind of starting off, there we go. Just a quick recap over what we learned last digital inclusion session. So digital inclusion, there's really 3 layers to it. It's kind of like an onion. First layer is access and adoption, and that is getting people the basic resources to be able to connect to the internet. Level 2 is that digital skills, being able to know how to use devices and technology to accomplish a goal. And then level 3 is digital capital and online benefits. So knowing how to do online shopping, knowing how to answer emails. This is when you really accept digital tools into your life. So just a quick recap of what we learned last time. And I would like to start us off kind of with a question to get the blood pumping. So what barriers does your community face in pursuing digital transformation? Just trying to get a better understanding of where your community is in this conversation. So do you get a lot of pushback from those coming to your library about not wanting to use technology or not knowing how to even start with technology? Are these conversations that you're having with your library? Just put it in the chat. I would love to hear what you guys are saying on that. We'll just wait for a sec. So there we go. Access, yeah, big one. Some resistant people who don't want to have, use, or rely on technology for everything. Yes, I think that's a big part of how overwhelming it gets, is that a lot of the world has already met somewhat digital transformation and they don't want to feel like they're behind. And I think that's a big one. The limited choices of internet providers. Some are slow or expensive. That's a great point, Emma. Yeah, just opening a bag of worms of providers. I think it depends on the age group of the people you are thinking about. The community as a whole wants to use technology, but certain age groups generally do not want to learn. They did not grow up with. Yeah, Amish population. I was actually just talking with somebody how they saw some Amish with like cell phone. Lack of places for free Wi-Fi. Yeah, and we're gonna be talking a little bit about that in this presentation as well. Great ages do have a lot on Amish as well. So, well, thank you guys so much for sharing. I think that really helps us get a better view and understanding of what communities that we're working with and how to really meet them where they are and to bring them into this age of digital transformation rather than like dragging them. I think that's really important when we're having these conversations. So what are digital inclusion resources? So these are resources that allow individuals to use digital transformation to advance their own goals and skills. So anything can be digital inclusion resources, really, and we're going to be going in a little bit more about that as well. So there are 5 levels of these resources. First, it goes to connection, and we kind of talked about that. What providers are in your area? Do you even have connection, like the fiber to reach your house to be able to get the internet, satellite, a lot of different things that come into play when it comes down to connection, as well as next thing is devices. Those are, tablets, computers, digital skills, talking about kind of what we did last time, developing and knowing how to use the technology correctly. And then professional development, and this is how you can leverage these digital inclusion resources to accomplish whatever professional goals somebody may have. And then lastly, the fun one that we all kind of think about when we think about digital inclusion, digital work, is the social media. So first, I would like to introduce you to a great program. It's called the Affordable Connectivity Program. It is a FCC benefit program that helps ensure that households can afford broadband. So when it comes down to the affordability aspect of things, that's a massive barrier that a lot of people have. And this program works to try and bridge that gap. It provides up to $30 off internet for eligible households, and then $75 off for those on tribal lands. And it also makes, if you're eligible, you can receive a one-time discount up to $100 off of a device. And we'll be talking somewhat more about that as well. And the guidelines of how to qualify for the Affordable Connectivity Program is if your income is at or below 200% of the federal poverty guidelines, or if a member of the household receives benefits from governmental assistance programs. So I qualified for the Affordable Connectivity Program because I was a Pell Grant recipient when I was in college. That's one way to qualify. If anyone in the household is on SNAP benefits, that's a way to qualify. Medicaid, Medicare, those qualify. There's a lot of different ways to qualify for the program. So I always recommend people, if you're even curious and are needing some assistance with your internet, apply. The worst they'll do is tell you no, but it really is a huge resource that we should be really tapping into in our communities to make sure that everyone is getting the access they need. So this kind of connects to the connection side of things. So just explain the Affordable Connectivity Program. If anyone has any questions about that as well, feel free to throw it in the chat. Connection is also found at community centers. So those are our libraries, I believe somebody was referencing libraries, but also boys and girls clubs. I know local YMCAs often have internet service. Coffee shops, that was a big one that I relied on while I was in college as well. Yes, if your child receives free or reduced lunch, you may qualify for ACP. Yes, Jen. Yeah, community centers. Even I know that was a big thing during the start of the pandemic, was trying to locate those community centers where you would have at least stable internet connection. And I think we have seen great growth in the last few years because of that, and having those community anchor institutions to serve as free Wi-Fi bases. And I always think if you know any community resources that people use a lot, children are often there, ask them if they have any internet services. If they have free Wi-Fi, if they don't have free Wi-Fi, at least that's a conversation that they're having of trying to get that available to their constituents and community. And then lastly, we have what we commonly think about at-home internet. And this is a fun part. So a lot of the time, I know people have felt disconnected from the process of trying to get internet to their houses, and that is a big problem. I think a lot of people have felt that. I grew up in a very rural community, and I did not have very good internet access either. So the FCC began a map challenge process. So back in January, I believe, they released these maps of everyone connected to the internet in the United States, everywhere. It's huge. And now it is up to the individuals to check their own address and to verify the information that they have on the location. So if you look up your address and it says you have access to like AT&T as a provider and Spectrum as a provider, but they don't actually reach your home, that is where this FCC map challenge process comes into play. Because I know that's something that in my family I've heard is people are told that they have access, they don't really. These providers will expand their scope, but they won't actually provide. And so this process, FCC map challenge process, is the real way that we can try and help and change that. So I really recommend, if you know anyone in your life that is kind of disgruntled about trying to get internet access and they don't know what resources are available to them, and opening the can of worms that is just trying to get internet access, I really recommend starting with the FCC map challenge. So putting your address in or wherever the location is that you're trying to make sure to see what providers are available for the area, and then you can challenge if that information is correct or not. And then hopefully, I believe at the beginning of this next year, they're going to be distributing funding based on the FCC map results. So feeling disgruntled and you really want to make a change, this is a direct impact that you can make sure that everyone in your community has internet access. So here we go. So as we get into devices, the second layer of our digital inclusion resources is the ACP. So kind of talking about the eligibility of households, they can receive a one-time discount. Oh, there we go. One-time discount up to $100 off a laptop, desktop computer, or a tablet from participating providers. So not all internet service providers are a part of this particular program for devices, but I believe most of like the larger, like AT&T, Spectrum, I believe Astound are a part of the device program. Oh, thank you, Jen, for putting the link in the chat. Awesome. Yeah. First, you get this is how the ACP is trying to bridge that gap. And then second, there is this amazing nonprofit organization called PCs for People. And it is a national nonprofit that works to get low cost computers and internet to those who need it. If your community institution is really struggling to get devices, you're not getting the resources that you need, I would strongly recommend reaching out to PCs for People. Not only can they get you devices, but they can get you connected to people who can like help you figure out the process of trying to get devices. Because if they're not able to give, physical devices to you, they can at least get you on the path or identify grants or funding opportunities for those devices to be obtained. So really great nonprofit. One of the other digital fellows, just like me, was working for them, and they only have positive things to say. So I really recommend reaching out to PCs for People if you're needing devices. And then also local community organizations. I know there's been, gosh, off the top of my head, most like clothing drive organizations, I have had conversations with them about having devices, starting that process of trying to get devices, as well as clothing and other resources to the community. So just starting those conversations with community anchor institutions and community stakeholders, you'd be surprised how many people are willing and are coming with open hands of wanting to address this issue. And yeah, don't doubt local community organizations. A lot of them are really looking for help and would love to have somebody join them in the fight to try and get better resources. And next, we have our digital skills. So digital skills, there's honestly motherload of resources available for digital skills training. So one that we often think of is the North Star digital skills training. And this provides like an assessment and the skills tool to learn how to use digital devices. I believe it is a subscription-based service, so you do have to pay, but there are still amazing free resources to grow digital skills, and one of them is the Microsoft Digital Literacy courses. They really break down simple how to use not only Microsoft tools, but also just the regular internet. And Google has these skills trainings as well. So, you know, you kind of, I think this is where our community stakeholders and facilitators are really important, because those who need to grow their digital skills may not even know where to really start. And so that's why this presentation is really important. So you know what resources you can recommend them to if you're wanting to help them out. So there's another question for you guys. What other digital skills training are you familiar with? I know libraries you all have probably had a lot more experience than I have about what skills those patrons are needing to develop. So yeah, feel free to jump in the chat. What other digital skills trainings are you familiar with? Just hang out for a sec. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Yes, local senior centers will host tech help. Yeah. And I know the IU Center for Rural Development, I believe, have been helping with some of the library with digital skills classes. I know that's another great resource, local universities. Oh, Diana, Harrison County Lifelong Learning, yeah. Oh yes, Christina, we've had the IU Rural Development come to our library, yes. What was I gonna say? Oh, the Centers for Aging, those are also great resources. I have been in communication with those a lot, and they're always looking for any resources or any assistance to help them. Oh, Niche Academy. I never heard of that. Write that down. Khan Academy. That was one. That's still, yeah. Code.org. Awesome. Yes, thank you guys for sharing. Yeah, so there really is a amazing amount of resources to grow digital skills trainings. It's just the knowledge and knowing when to recommend them to those who need them. So yes, next side is professional development. So this is kind of also when we think of digital resources and how to leverage. I believe North Star is fee-based. I know some of the digital fellows in my program have formed different funding pipelines to do North Star. Yeah, I do believe it's the fee. Oh, LinkedIn Learning, yes. That's a lot of things that I know young professionals have been using. So yeah, so professional development, resume building. If anyone has been looking for a job or has looked up just resume reference, you'll find a like so many resume building tools to just stick in your information and they make you a document. It's really amazing. And I know nowadays with artificial intelligence, a lot of people are using that for the resume building, and that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, resume building is a big thing. You need to be able to sell yourself and be able to document your growth to be able to get a job. And then Excel skills trainings, kind of going back to Microsoft, but I believe there's a lot of different programs that offer Excel skills trainings. And then LinkedIn professional development courses. I believe somebody mentioned that in the chat, but there's so many LinkedIn professional development courses. If you're into digital marketing, there's courses on that. If you're wanting to get into sales, there's courses on that. As well as just having LinkedIn as a networking guide is a tool that I see a lot of young professionals using, is building that digital network really, and reaching out to those that you build connections with. I've reached out to those on LinkedIn asking for assistance in the job search. It's really a great tool to grow your professional skills, but it's also a great tool to learn digital skills. You learn how to give your best foot forward on the professional side of things when using digital technology. And I think that's really important when people are entering the space and not really sure how to begin. And then to my program's horn, the Purdue University Digital Ready Business courses, they're really a great, Indiana State offers to link. Oh yes, thank you, Jen, for sharing all that in the chat. But yeah, Purdue University Digital Ready Business courses. So if you have any small businesses in your community who, I know libraries are often relied upon as just resource centers. And if you have anyone reaching out to you wanting to grow their digital skills, this is a great way to do that in a business setting. They not only break down just like how to use social media, and all the tools with that, but I also help you set up like your own storefront online, how to promote your products online. So really recommend looking into that if you know any small businesses that are wanting to get into digital transformation. And then, yeah, another question for all of you all. So what other professional development trainings are you familiar with? I know we were saying LinkedIn. Is there like any particular LinkedIn training that you've really enjoyed or anything else? Oh, State's Library Inspire database. Thank you for sharing that, Jen. Yeah, any professional development courses you all like to share? Web Junction. I have not heard that in a long time. We've used that like when I was in school. Web Junction. Oh, I sure. And back. Here we go. That was funny. You all saw that. Info Express. GovLoop for government. Oh, I haven't heard that. Oh, regional coordinators of, oh yes, professional development trainings. Yeah. Learning Express. TechSoup. I haven't heard of that, Kara. Took impact and shoot courses. This is awesome. Yeah. Niche Academy, library stuff. This is awesome to just, there's so much that I didn't even, I'm supposed to be the digital girl, but you guys are the real knowledge and book people. Awesome. Tech soup for nonprofit. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for sharing. Library 2.0. I'm learning so much just from seeing you guys and seeing all this stuff. Yeah, and I'll be honest, like they teach us a lot of digital resources in my program that I'm in, but there's still so many resources that are more tailored to the different community anchors. So libraries they're really the forefront of this, and so it's great to see that you guys know all these amazing resources. So lastly, kind of going into social media, it's a big excuse me, kind of thing. It's a big can of worms if you open it. So social media can be a great resource to not only for entertainment, but also to build connections in your community. Really, I remember I've always used my Facebook groups in my community as a information hub to know like what's going on, and so having a basic understanding of the skills needed to maneuver social media is really an amazing skill to have. So that's kind of more in the general terms of social media. Just I always, you get some people who have a sour taste in their mouth about it, and that's completely understandable. Can only imagine. But I also think social media is a great resource for those needing to build connections. I love to see, the older individuals in my life use social media to interact with, their grandchildren or those in their friend circles that they don't see as often. That's the real tool of social media, is to build those social relationships. But there's also the professional side of things I'll kind of cover. So, and kind of background about me is that I have a minor in public relations with the concentration of social media. So I personally have had a lot of experience with these courses, so I recommend them. Hootsuite is a big one. If you know anyone in college working with social media stuff, they'll probably know what Hootsuite is. It will teach you like digital marketing, how to use market space and different things like that. Oh, my 19-year-old. Yes, exactly. And like, it's a great resource. Like now you can connect with your 19-year-old father. I know my grandfather, he could get up to date about what all of his grandkids were doing. He wasn't always the best one to get on the phone. So it was always great that he would able to see us on social media and for Sprout Social. Yeah, it's kind of similar to Hootsuite, where it has a lot of great resources. Sprout Social, I think, is more, I go to it for articles to get a better understanding, like what are the social trends going on and things like that. And then LinkedIn online courses is, I think we've kind of talked a little bit about it, but really they have a plethora of courses, and then you also get to document them on your time LinkedIn like page post, and it can be an opportunity for people who are looking for that skill set you just learned to offer you a position or to start networking. So really tapping into LinkedIn as a professional resource. And then Facebook marketing certification. Facebook has a lot of really great trainings of how to use their marketplace. You can use marketplace, but then there's also where to like sell items. There's also the pages, and it's a pretty complicated process, honestly, knowing how to navigate the pages system of Facebook. And so it's really great that they offer resources to learn and to continue growing the skills, because it's a really marketable trait as well. So those entering the workforce and wanting to grow their own personal skills, social media and digital skills is a great way to build your marketable skills. So yeah, and then I got a final question for you all. Where do you see digital transformation in your own life? And then where do you see the world in 10 years in relation to digital transformation? So yeah, so digital transformation, I was part of the generation where I started school and I didn't have any technology. We learned pretty based on physical books. And then when I got to middle school, they started having like ThinkPads and that's how we submitted our homework and different things like that. So that's I always think about whenever I am thinking of digital transformation in my own life. And then in 10 years, I would love to see just the space of digital, like the digital marketplace, online goods and services. Just I'm interested to see how that develops. So I would love to hear you all's input on these questions as well in the chat. Just hang out for a sec. That was a big question. So take it home. Yeah, yeah, big question. Services offered like for groceries. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so right. Whenever Walmart started having their grocery pickup service, my mom thought that she was Albert Einstein. That was she told every single person in her social group, yeah, that it's a really, yeah, great service. Online groceries, I didn't even think about that. There we go, awesome. Learning new digital tools every day. Never thought I'd be working on the backside of things with WordPress, right? Yeah. Facebook, Instagram posts. Gravity Forms, Facebook, Instagram posts. Yeah, AI. And we'll see. I think there's a lot of growth with AI that's still to happen, so we'll see how that's definitely something I'm watching as well. I was no internet when I was in high school. I mean, how far it's come. Yeah. Still be reliant on technology. Yeah. Well, and I think, George, I think this is another opportunity where it's really important to be these community resources for people to, you know, there's going to be issues with privacy and, you know, all data and everything like that. And I think I agree that I think it's going to get bigger, but my hope and what I've seen is that there's been a lot more people who have had conversations around it, about, you know, spam calls and data leaking and everything. And so I like to, you know, I try and look at the positive, where at least we're having more of those conversations now, to try and be prepared for transformation like this. Oh, Venmo. Yes, that's a big one. we use that all the time. Probably have interest. Oh yes, thank you, Emma. Many have hobbies include. Hmm. Ooh, this is fun. Many hobbies involve older technology and trying to figure out how to connect retro tech to internet and similar things. Realize how much internet security has changed. How to be connected to if you can't afford modern devices. That's awesome. That's a really interesting perspective, Emma. Yeah, and I know a lot of those in like more of the techie kind of space with digital inclusion, those are conversations that they're having as well. So it's interesting. Key and we are the product, yes. You've given the idea this one. Yeah, and then the pandemic showed disparity in internet access. Yeah, and, you know, there's not many positives that came out of the pandemic, but I like to think that we're now taking the role of digital inclusion a lot more seriously, and we're able to have more of these conversations now. To be more old school lately. Yeah, ebooks, movies. Yeah, hoping that senior everyone has access before the internet and devices. Yeah, that's the goal. Well, and Paula, I think in-person physical things I think they're essential, and I think it's a really important thing that we're staying in touch with. In my realm, I think digital tools are really just adding to what we have already established, giving the small businesses the resources to reach a larger audience. Yeah, shop local. Yeah. And that's a whole part of it. Is I think a lot of the larger organizations are have caught up to knowing what they need to get into in this digital space, and so it's all about helping out our local communities and being our own resources to try and make sure everyone's in the loop. Oh, online calendar. Online calendar makes scheduling so much easier. Being able to send out options and get responses back. Yeah. Well, it was awesome. Thank you guys so much for sharing. That was really great. And I think it's really important when we're having these conversations about digital transformation is to keep in mind of like, where are we going? What is the goal? And it's all about making sure that everyone has the proper resources that they need to be able to succeed. At the end of the day, I think that's what digital inclusion or digital inclusion is just making sure we're all on the same level playing field, and whenever the race begins, you have the same advantages as everyone else. And so that's the awesome part of everything. So yes, so thank you all. I would love to have this time to see if you guys have any questions or any comments, concerns that you all would like to share. Yeah, awesome. Thank you guys. Yeah, now we're talking about Zoom. I remember I was still in college whenever the pandemic started, and that was just a big catching up for everyone, and having grace for everyone in those moments too, I think is great. Thank you. Awesome. Well, if anyone has any other questions, throw in the chat. And then our next webinar is July 12th. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all then as well. So yeah, Kara, you can take it away.
All right. Thank you so much, Emma. I really appreciate you sharing all of this great knowledge and getting our conversations going and us thinking about new and different things. So I did put the link for the LEU certificate in the chat a couple times. You can always email me though, but the form, if you go to the certificate link, you can fill out the form and then I'll get your certificate to you shortly. And yeah, I really love everyone's participation. Thank you, everybody, for participating and putting your answers in the chat for all of us to think about. And I look forward to our next webinar. Thank you very much, Emma. You guys have a wonderful day. Thank you.
All right.
Bye, Emma.